Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLuga. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Monday, October 21st, Victory Monday for your Jacksonville Jaguars. You can head over to GenJag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear. We've got our code Victory Monday for 32% off everything over on the shop, GenJag.com/shop. Really appreciate y'all being here. So the Jaguars, they've won 2 of their last 3 ball games here. Are they poised to turn their season around at 2-5? That's what we're going to talk about here today. Do I think that the fact that the Jaguars have been very competitive in 5 of their 7 games and won 2 of their last 3 means that they are on track to turn that season around and go on one of these runs that, quite frankly, you have seen them go on every year under Doug Peterson? In 2022, back half of the season, unbelievable run to make the playoffs. Start of 2023, really strong, where they won 6 out of 7, 7 out of 8. Do I think that that's what's about to happen here in Jacksonville with these Jaguars, year 3 of the Doug Peterson experience? I don't. I honestly don't. I do think there are some really good things happening at the moment. We talked about that earlier today. Trevor Lawrence is playing really good football right now. He's calm, comfortable in the pocket. Looks like he trusts his offensive line, trusts his receivers, trusts the play calling a little bit more. Brian Thomas Jr. and Tank Bigsby are playing like young stars without question. The offensive line is playing much better, doing a good job in pass protection and a better job in the run game. The defensive front is very good, right? Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker playing strong run defense throughout. Eric Armstead all of a sudden playing a little bit more inside, had his best game of the season. Devon Hamilton had his best game of the season. Tyson Campbell, he's back in the lineup, and that's huge. Having a guy who is really far and away your best cover corner and one of your best players on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah, so there's some good things going on. But in spite of all that, again, I just don't see it happening for this particular football team. You can talk about some of the issues with the Jaguars, certainly, like the pass defense, it's still pretty weak overall, even with Tyson Campbell, in my opinion. You just have some weak links, have some issues with the coverage. The rotation, still not very good defensively. I don't like how much they're rotating and at the timing of some of these rotations, right? Doug Peterson, his decisions continue to be concerning, in my opinion, at times. Like, you have opportunities to put yourself in very advantageous situations with a field goal or, play sequencing, play calling. First, third down of the game for the Jaguars on the offensive side of the ball. You run what looked like a designed dump off to Dearness Johnson. I mean, how is that what you're going to do in a scripted situation? That's really the best thing you got? Then, your first 4th down of the game, you're trying to run the ball right up behind Brandon Sheriff, who is probably your weakest run blocker on the offensive side of the offensive line. Certainly the right side of the offensive line. You'd rather run on the left side. Key situation. Maybe get it behind Morris and Cleveland. Or sneak Trevor. We've seen that work very well for the most part. Or kick the field goal. As I mentioned, you have an opportunity to go up 3 scores against the Patriots. 3 possessions in the second half. Why do you not take advantage of that? We talked about the Texans goal line situation as well a few weeks back. There's too much inconsistency with the play calling, with the sequencing, with the defense. Like, I'm a fan of Buster Brown, but he physically cannot match up to a lot of the guys that he has to go up against. And Darby, he hasn't been playing his best football the last month or so. Do I think having Tyson Campbell back helps them? Sure. Do I think having Eric Armstead maybe playing on the interior a little bit more can help this defense? Yeah. Devon Hamilton playing better? Yeah. I also think, though, that offensive line the Jaguars just went up against, one of the worst offensive lines in football. And even with Drake May injecting some juice, that's one of the worst offenses in football, right? And the Colts are a team the Jaguars just own. So you talk about 2 of these 3 wins. I mean, they're like, if you didn't win, it's over. Like, you might not even be keeping your job through the end of the season. So I have a hard time buying into the total product. Do I think there's a lot of games on the schedule in which, the combination of good things that are happening can help them win? Yeah, I really do. I think that this is a team that's finally in position to really play more consistently competitive week in and week out. I see that. But I still think it's probably too late. Still worry about the coaching. The problem really here, though, is even if you want to believe in what's happening, it's their next 5 games. We're going to look at that. First, though, y'all got to check out Underdog Fantasy. I play best ball, play pick'em over there a whole lot more. Right now, I'm thinking about looking at that Tank Bigsby to score a touchdown against the Packers. Underdog has vulture protection. So if you select a designated running back to score a touchdown in your pick'em entry and they get vultured, Underdog will rescue your entry. Great insurance there. All you got to do is head over to Underdog's simple-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with promo code DuvalDaily, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. I'm also currently looking at Jaguars and Packers. Brian Thomas Jr., 60.5 receiving yards, higher or lower. Feeling pretty good about that one. It's also currently Boostober over at Underdog, where there's a promo nearly every day. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code DuvalDaily to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Shout out to Underdog Fantasy. So, again, there are some good things happening with this football team. And it's not just been in the games they won against bad teams. Like, I think you've seen steady improvement from the offensive line. I think you've seen steady improvement from Trevor Lawrence. Even against a couple good defenses the last 2 weeks, right? There's things happening that could give you some excitement. But the next 5 games, it is a gauntlet. And again, you're sitting at 2-5. It's not like you can afford to just keep dropping football games. You have Green Bay and Jacksonville this upcoming Sunday. You have at Philadelphia Sunday Night Football versus Minnesota, at Detroit versus Houston. You want to know the combined records of those 5 football teams? You probably don't. They're 24-8. 24-8. That's incredible. That's going to be so difficult for a 2-5 Jacksonville Jaguars football team to deal with, right? Green Bay is incredibly well coached on the offensive side of the ball. I think their best chance at that game is probably in a shootout, and maybe your defense is able to do some of the things that Ryan Nielsen showed he could do as a coordinator last year, right? From a game plan perspective, from a third down perspective, and you're able to just get a little lucky with some turnover. That's a tough game. I don't think the Jaguars defense is going to be able to handle Green Bay's offense. At Philly, maybe not the best coach team, but certainly a team that's more talented on paper. Could the Jaguars have the quarterback advantage? Yeah, but I think Philly has a lot of other advantages over the Jaguars. Minnesota, incredibly well coached, both sides of the ball. Brian Flores is an absolute menace on the defensive side. Kevin O'Connell's a great coordinator. They're playing good ball. Detroit, one of the best teams in football, one of the Super Bowl favorites, a team that dismantled the Jaguars a couple years ago. And then Houston and Jacksonville, obviously, you can go toe-to-toe with the Texans, but that is a gauntlet. 24-8, the combined record of the next 5 teams on the Jaguars schedule. So that's the problem I see here, really, with this idea that the Jaguars can have one of those magical runs that they've shown you they can have. They have to win at very minimum 2 of those 5 games to get to 5-8. And realistically, 5-8, that means you have to win your next 4 ball games, right? Or 4-8, excuse me, is what that would get them to. 4-8, which means you have to win your next 5 games. Tough sledding. And if you want to have an even better chance, like 9-8 might not get you in the playoffs. It might not. You might have to go 10-7 to make the playoffs. And if that's the case, that means you now have to go 8-2 the rest of the way. If you want to get to 9-8, you got to go 7-3 the rest of the way. And again, you have Green Bay, Philly, Minnesota, Detroit, and Houston as your next 5 opponents. Even if you win 2 or 3 of those games, you probably have to run the table or only lose one of those final games, which is against, you've got the Jets, the Raiders, Titans twice, and the Colts. Yeah. Not going to be easy. But even if they do the near impossible, and we've talked about this here, I've talked about this for the last few weeks, this is no way to live as an organization, no way to operate, to have these types of runs every single year. You need to be able to play with more consistency in year 3 than the Jaguars are showing they can do. And to me, that's on coaching, that's on the front office. I don't think that this entire organization is in lockstep. I don't think that they're in sync. And that shows pretty consistently. And I still think there are baffling decisions on both sides of the ball on a weekly basis. It's time to reset for me. But the Jaguars, the path is there. The picture is becoming more clear. They've got to win at least 2 or 3 of these next 5 games. And it's against an absolutely crazy, talented, and good group of football teams. I'll tell you right now, again, I don't see it happening. Time to reset. And one final thing I wanted to say. I haven't talked about it a lot, but I've seen it several times the last few weeks. How many times do you see Trevor Lawrence motioning to the sideline to get the play call in? It happens all the time. Like, what's taking so long here, right? When your quarterback's ready for the play call and the coordinators, whether it's Press Taylor getting the play call in or Doug Peterson, we still don't know because Doug won't tell you. That's unacceptable in year 3, right? So that's kind of my look at the next 5 games for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Have they turned the corner? Can they turn the corner? I think they're ready to play competitive football, but I just think that they're in a bad situation from a record perspective. And with these next 5 games coming up, I don't see it happening. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out ginjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear, become a channel member here on YouTube. Y'all have a good one.